Hello, my name is Tomas Alonso. I'm a designer from Spain.
Moi je ping et toi tu pong, c'est la vie d'une chanson. You say ping and I say pong, so I sing for you a song. You say ping and I say pong.
I have a small design studio based in London, which I share with 10 other designers. And there we share a workshop where we can produce our own prototypes, because it's quite important for us when we develop products to be able to test them and be able to build them with our hands. So in a way that's part of our design process as well. So in my studio I work in all different types of products, from furniture to cutlery, lights, interiors, a bit of everything. And I try to have a bit of a research approach to the things I work on. So there's a lot of self-initiated projects as well, which I show in different exhibitions organized by friends or organized by us sometimes. As a group, we organize our own exhibitions, which help to show what we do in a group, which is, I think, a lot more interesting than showing by yourself. And yes, I was saying I work in all different kinds of objects. I like to work in things that are going to be used. So I like to design objects that are going to be used by people in everyday circumstances. Not so much designing for galleries or designing things that are just going to be looked at, but things that are going to be used. And when I say that I like to research, I like to work with finding maybe new ways of creating structures, new ways of putting materials together, try to make the most out of each material that I work with. And in a way, this is a process of subtraction. So my approach, I think I try to reduce, most of the projects I try to reduce to the maximum when I do something. So in a way, it's kind of like minimizing to maximize the structure. And you can probably see in some of the pieces here, this approach, in some of them is quite clear. So for example, these pieces here, which are called 5-degree series, the project started with a stool, and when looking at a stool, to me a stool is a temporary piece of furniture, somewhere where you're going to sit for a while, and therefore comfort is not the most important thing in the stool. It's gotta, of course, it's gotta work, but it's only gonna be for a while. Therefore, I was trying to reduce the stool to the maximum, so the seating area on the stool is very narrow, because when you're not using the stool, then I like for it not to take too much space. So therefore, can I show it as well? Yeah? Yeah. No. So when you look at the structure of it, it's just 3 legs. The middle leg folds away. So when you see it like that, it's a very minimum amount of space that is taken. You can see that the rope is the only element keeping this leg in the right position, and that even though it doesn't look very stable, it's actually quite stable when you sit on it. And from the stool, it was quite an obvious evolution to turn that into a trestle, and that's where the table came about. So it's a trestle table, which is also based on how we live lives nowadays. There's always less and less space. We move more and more often. And I think furniture should adjust to this kind of living that we have. This other project is working with the same premises. So it's a table that collapses. The tabletop can work as a tray on its own, and then when you put it on the base, you can adjust the height. So you could use it next to your sofa, depending on what kind of height of sofa you have. It's comfortable for that. From this project, I developed also a light which uses the same principle. So the light has the shape of a bottle. It's made in ceramic, and it can stand on the stand. It can work on itself on the floor, and also there is a third application which is a wall applique, and then you can hang it from the wall, and the light reflects onto the wall. This other project here is a set of cutlery, which is very much also based on this idea of reduction. Everything about the shape on each one of the three elements is coming from the idea of using a sheet of metal from which the cutlery is created. A cutlery is stamped, and so the sheet, because it's so thin, if it was completely flat, it would be very easy to fold. But the shape on the design is giving the structure to this soft sheet. In this case, it's stainless steel. This is the pre-production prototypes that we have developed with a company in Italy called Italese, who is now producing and distributing this cutlery. So a lot of the pieces that you see here are actually prototypes for things that are now in production. The 5 Degree series is in production with Mormon, and the pieces that are in the exhibition are their first prototypes on their side, just before the final production pieces. Another project that I'm showing here is a recent project that I've done in collaboration with my dad. My dad makes this liqueur, which is called coffee liqueur, which is traditional from the northwest of Spain, and is based on aguardiente, which means burning water. And aguardiente is something very similar to grappa. It comes from extracting the vines and the leftover of the grapes after producing the wine. You put all that together and you press it, and then you let it ferment, and then it creates this liqueur, which is quite strong on itself. But then the coffee liqueur is used this aguardiente mixed with sugar and with coffee beans, and it's a great drink. It's sweet, and so it doesn't feel like you're drinking something really strong, but then it really gets you. So my dad started making this as a thing for family and friends, and when I was invited to take part in an exhibition in London related with coffee, talking to him, we decided it would be a good idea to collaborate. So he's making the liqueur, and I designed the bottle and the glasses to serve the liqueur. The glasses, they all have different diameters and different heights, but each one of them holds 40 milliliters of liqueur. So he's playing with this proportion, the combination between the height and the diameter. And it's funny how it gives you a very different feeling when you drink from one or the other. Although it's the same amount of liqueur, it feels quite different when you hold it, also when you drink it, also when you look at it. So that was the approach for it. This is it's a small batch production that we've done for this exhibition, and then it's going to be sold through their website that they have parallel to the exhibition. And it's produced in London by some local artisans that normally work with laboratory products. So it's all handmade. The future. I don't know. My studio started about 3.5 years ago, and at the beginning we used to have a lot of time to play table football and ping pong. And we realized that things are getting busier and busier. I've been recently working in some interiors for Camper, the Spanish shoe company, and it's been quite a different experience to translate the experience of working with objects and translate that into a full interior. The scale is very different. The time invested in the project is also very different, but then in the end the approach is quite similar in the sense that I'm still looking for resolving things in a similar way, minimizing structures and keeping things very simple, very honest in a way. I think this idea of making the most out of the materials also shows in the pieces, and it's showing also in this interior with all these different materials and elements working together in a very basic way to put an environment together. So yeah, the projects are getting bigger, but the approach hasn't changed so much. But I've just been getting more and more busy with projects. Hopefully this is going to keep continuing like this. I like to combine self-started projects with commission projects. I think it's a good balance. I think when you start a project, you start with something that you're interested in on your own, and therefore you can put a lot of your own thinking process into that, and that serves also as a starting platform for the other projects that are maybe commissioned by companies. And I like this balance. Also, the ultimate position of each project is a bit different. When you work for a company, you know that the things that you make, they have to be easy to transport, they have to be easy to store, they have to work in a different way than when you work in something that is made for one occasion. Yeah, I've been working also with some galleries that are selling prototypes, which is again a different approach, but it's a good platform to show all this research work that I do normally, and it gives you freedom in the sense that you have less constraints. But I like to again use that experience from making those things to develop also the objects that are more geared for production. Yeah.
Je pigne, toi tu pongs, c'est la vie d'une chanson. You say ping and I say pong, so I sing for you a song.